Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. First John chapter 4 and verse 1. This will be one of two, maybe even three programs on a sermon that Pastor Gino Jennings did on homosexuality. During his sermon, he said several things that appeared to be worthy of consideration. For example, Pastor Jennings talks about the origins of homosexuality. He states the following.
That's right. The mind, the heart, the character, the thinking of the homosexual came from heaven, but not from God. Someone say, well, if it ain't come from God, who else was up there? The devil.
There is no doubt in my mind that the vast majority of people, particularly those who are consider themselves to be religious, believe what Pastor Jennings said. Therefore, the purpose of this program will be to present biblical evidence showing that homosexuality started here on earth and that it came from Adam rather than the devil. I want to begin by reading Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female, created he them. With this in mind, I want us to take a look at what the Bible says about the image and or likeness of God. According to the Apostle John, this then is the message which we have heard of him and declare unto you, that God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. In Galatians chapter 5, the Apostle Paul defines darkness, which is nothing more than the works of the flesh. He states, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like. Adam was created in the image and likeness of God. Therefore, none of these things that refer to darkness or linked to darkness was in Adam. Although Adam and Eve were created in the image and likeness of God, they did not remain in God's image or likeness. When Adam disobeyed God, he turned off the light of God that was in himself. And when the light goes off, the only thing that remains is darkness. I'm not saying that Adam was gay, but rather that homosexuality came from him because his act of disobedience to the will of God is what planted the seed that produced homosexuality, fornication, adultery, and a host of other things. God said the following to Adam: but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. Therefore, Adam completely understood the consequences before he decided to disobey God. And yet, he did it anyway. I want to pause here just for a minute, as always, to remind you to hit the like button if you like the program. And when you subscribe, hit the notification button. Now, let's get back to the program. Furthermore, when we look at the book of James, we discover this about the image and likeness of God. James states, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. Adam was without sin. He was created in God's image. There was more than enough God in Adam for Adam to resist temptation. Yet he succumbed to it. The devil never forced Eve to disobey God, and Eve never forced Adam to disobey God. In addition to creating Adam and Eve in his image and likeness, according to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and verse 28, God gave them dominion over the entire world. They were in charge. Adam was the CEO. He was the president. He was the prime minister. The buck stopped with him. We know this because in the book of Romans, the Apostle Paul wrote, wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. Furthermore, when Adam approached Eve, there is nothing in the Bible that even remotely suggests that he saw her nakedness. It wasn't until Adam bit of the fruit, the Bible states that's when both of them realized they were naked. Adam was in charge. Adam was not a victim. He was a willing participant. He seemed to fully understand the consequences of what he was about to do, and he did it. Eve was nothing more than a means to an end. The devil used Adam's wife to get to him, just like he used Job's wife to get to Job. Job chapter 2 and verse 9 states, then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thy integrity? Curse God and die. But there was a huge difference. Unlike Adam, Job was born in sin and shapen in iniquity. But Job refused to sin, which is made clear in Job chapter 2 and verse 10. It states, but he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God? And shall we not receive evil? And all this did not Job sin with his lips. He was not influenced or tempted by his wife. Adam was without sin, made in a direct image of God. But despite this, he disobeyed God. In addition to Job, the Bible mentions Zacharias and his wife Elizabeth. Luke wrote, and they were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord blameless. Therefore, Zacharias and Elizabeth, despite being sinners, they were not sinning compared to Adam, who, until he sinned, was without sin, him and his wife, Eve, and yet they sinned. In 3 cases, we see situations where sinners succeeded where Adam and Eve failed when they were not sinners. Therefore, contrary to what Pastor Jennings said, it started on earth and it came from Adam, not from the devil. The devil is nothing more than a convenient scapegoat for Adam's irresponsibility. He knew better and he should have done better. The bottom line is this: no matter what the devil did in heaven, regardless of any influence that he had on Eve or that Eve had on Adam, if Adam had never disobeyed God from a biblical perspective, there would be no adultery, there would be no masturbation, there would be no fornication, there would be no homosexuality. Again, I want to say thank you so much for making time to watch the program. I would love to know what you think. It all came from him. So please share your thoughts in the comment section. I hope and pray that you have had a beautiful day. Thank you and goodbye.
When losing weight, people tend to focus on exercise and a diet plan. Seldom, if at all, do they include God. Without God, no weight loss plan is complete. Watching and praying the weight away is more about gaining a closer relationship with God rather than losing weight. The purpose of this book is to keep you motivated until you have reached your goal and keep the weight off. The book is on Amazon.